Hi, this is Dhruti Shah. I am a leadership coach and I partner with leaders to make them more resilient and to help them discover a better version of themselves. In this edition of Expert Insight on Coaching, we bring coaches to you who have been experts in the field, who've been doing this for a very long time, and they are willing to share their expertise with us. And today it gives me great pleasure to interview Brenda Bence. Brenda has been consistently ranked in the world's top 10 coaching professionals and is recognized as one among the top 50 world leaders in coaching. She is a member of Marshall Goldsmith's MG 100 Coaches, and she has coached hundreds of senior leaders from different industries, and she's helping them achieve their peak performance even today. So it gives me immense pleasure to welcome Brenda today. So Brenda, how have you seen coaching evolve over a period of time?
Oh, it really has. I've been coaching for coming up on 18 years. So it's quite a long time. Yeah. And it's really interesting to see how coaching has moved from he's being coached, this kind of derailers, oh my gosh, he's got something wrong with him or she's got a problem that has to be fixed, into a space of, wow, how lucky they are. They get a coach. You know, the company wants to invest in this person's development, and this person is important and they feel elevated. And that's the shift that has happened in the coaching world, which has been wonderful to see. And now people regularly share, I'm being coached, I'm being coached by Brenda Bence. People, they're very excited to share their journey and how powerful it is. And because their journey's been so great, they, as leaders, inevitably bring coaching to their organizations, to their team members, etc.
What difference have you seen? Because I still see that, a lot of people are not clear in terms of coaching. There is still a lot of telling that happens. So where is the difference? What's going on there?
Well, if you don't mind, I'll share a little model with you.
Sure, absolutely.
Because often people tell me, Brenda, but isn't coaching just like telling people what to do, or isn't coaching like, mentoring? And so I like to just clear the slate and get really clear on that. So an employee comes to you and an employee has a problem and they come to you and you're as a leader. So what do? Well, there's three different roles you can play. The first one that I like to talk about is you're going to be a consultant. Sometimes leaders are consultants. What does that mean? Well, if an employee has a problem and you're acting as a consultant, what do? You solve the problem. I'm here to solve the problem for you. I'm going to be the consultant, right?
Yeah.
So very little development takes place in that regard. Very little. So then you say, okay, well, what if I'm going to play the role of a mentor, right? I'm going to be a mentor to my people that are working for me. With these employees that have a problem, where do I turn to? What do I do? Well, when you're a mentor, what you do is you say, hey, when I had that same problem, here's how I managed it. And if you want, you can do the same thing to solve that problem yourself. So that's a mentoring approach to the concept of helping employees. And then there's us as coach, right? A leader as a coach. And what does that mean? Well, again, if that employee comes to you with a problem and you are a coach wanting to help that employee, where do you focus? And this is what differentiates coaching. You're going to focus on the employee. You're going to focus on helping the employee so that the employee can solve that challenge. And when they do, what happens? They have greater buy-in, they have greater ownership, they have greater leadership development, and on and on.
Why is coaching not yet mainstream in Asia? Like, what is stopping us?
I think, first of all, I think Asia is making great strides. So I want to start off with that. What prevents Asia from going as fast as it could in this direction? Historically, this is a hierarchical region. There. And it's we respect the elder. And so the highest level people always have all the right answers and that type of thing. But in today's world, the truth is nobody has all the answers. It's not possible, especially with all the new intelligence that's coming and all that. Now, coaching again has still come a long way, but here's some things that have changed. Young people want to be involved in a way that isn't like the past. They don't want to be told what to do. That's not interesting to them. So as Asia is adapting to more global ways, I think that whole sense of hierarchy is not probably going to go away, but instead of top down, let's tell you what to do, it's going to naturally shift. And that's what I think is still coming. It's in the process of coming.
Do you think organizational structure has a role to play over here, or it's just the mindset that you're referring to?
I really think it's a mindset. No matter what structure you have, what it's inside that drives the outside, and what's going on in here. And I think there's this belief that for senior leaders, that if I'm high up in the organization, I must be the expert. I must be the one who knows everything. And what I always say is, what happens is at a certain point in your career, you go from being the expert to a place of leading the experts. When you lead experts at higher end of organizations, that is when you move into a really strong place of coaching. Because you cannot be an expert of everything. You can't. It's not possible. Nor should you at that senior level. You know, I coach a lot of C-suite execs, and they shouldn't be experts anymore. Their job is to lead the organization. Their job is to lead the experts. And remember, leaders are stewards of an organization. That's their job. It's not you versus me. I know more than you. You know more than me. I can't lose face. That's another piece of Asia, right? We don't want to lose face. But the truth is, it cannot be about you versus me. It has to be about the greater good, that higher level we. And when you get up to that higher level we, coaching works brilliantly, because what you're doing is you're leveraging all the common intelligence of everyone that's in the organization and allowing it to rise to the top and shine for the greater good of the organization.
How can these leaders better equip themselves to benefit from coaching?
Well, as you mentioned, it's the mindset first.
Yes.
I think the other thing is that there's a number of things, actually. I think understanding the difference between coaching, consulting, and mentoring,
Of
because
course.
I think that's a really important thing. I think the other thing is be coachable. And, you know, there's a lot of talk about that, but the truth is, what does that really mean? You know, be curious, be open, be honest. Be comfortable with not knowing all the answers. Not just be comfortable with not knowing all the answers. Know that you shouldn't know all the answers. That something's wrong if you do, right?
Yeah.
Because that means you're relying too much on yourself and not on others. So it's a real mindset shift in that regard. The other thing is honestly ask for coaching. You know, a lot of leaders don't ever go to their organization and say, I would like coaching. I think this is a great opportunity in my career for coaching. So show a willingness to be coached, and also recognize coaching's worth. You know, I regularly see in my clients a minimum of 10x the investment. Now, think about an investment. They pay X, whatever, thousands of dollars. They're going to get a minimum of 10x that in terms of return on investment, up to 100x. Now, think about that when you're coaching someone, right? Think about the value. We in Asia, we also typically look at the numbers of how much it's going to cost. No, you got to think about the value potential that's coming from that. I work with many publicly traded companies, for example. Think about the value of a CEO or a C-suite exec of a major corporation who's now just 10x to 100x their capabilities. Wow, right? I mean, you're talking impact on share price. I want people to stop thinking, oh, those soft things, you can't put a number on it. You can. You got to help the leader understand that. You say, okay, let's fast forward, and you've achieved X, Y, and Z. You've retained employees greater. You're recruiting better employees, you know, whatever. Start to think, what's that worth? What is that worth? What is that worth? Well, it costs it can cost several $100,000 to replace someone at a level if they leave the organization. So right there, you already saved that. That's just one example. You've got to really think about the power of coaching and start to put money numbers around it, because that's how we appeal to people in the corporate world, right? But they have to understand the incredible potential behind this. You know, first I said starts inside first. You've got to be willing to change the inside before you can change the outside. So many people come to me and say, Brenda, I want better executive presence, or I want to stand in front of, you know, stakeholders or press. I want to stand in front of the press and have stronger, you know, presence. And I say, well, let's start here. We're going to start here first, because what are your thoughts about standing in front of the press? What are your thoughts about standing in front of the whole company and talking? Well, and then it starts to come out. And okay, so once we clear that out, now we can actually move into how do you do that physically, right? But too many times we focus on the outside, not the inside. Say it's all about choosing the right coach. You've got to be willing to trust, to be vulnerable, to build strong, confidential relationship with your coach. You know, I always jokingly say, Coaching is one of those rare situations in the world where it's 100% about you. Who else in your life gives you 100% of their attention, right? So I think that's really important. And that's why I offer, and many coaches I encourage to do this, is offer a trial session, not a chemistry session, not a chemistry session, not that do we like each other thing? No. I'm talking about a trial session where you actually coach that potential client completely free, and they get to feel your style, because too many coaches are not doing this. So you've got to have a coach that you know the style is right. And if you can't tell within 15 minutes, you probably don't have the right coach.
How can organizations create a culture of coaching in that sense that would benefit their leaders?
Yeah, well, I think it comes down to getting clear on the benefits of coaching. We've kind of skirted around them, but when people are really clear on the benefits of coaching, when high-level leaders and human resources and team leaders and organization leaders are clear on the benefits of coaching, that's when it starts to shift. People will often ask me, so Brenda, what are the benefits of coaching? Everyone talks about it. My response, Druti, is always, how much time do you have? Do we have enough time to talk about it? Because I'm going to give you a long, long list. Professional development, leadership development, improved performance, enhanced self-awareness, increased confidence, stronger empowerment, more effective communication, better interpersonal skills, higher employee engagement and retention. I mean, you can go on and on and on. And what's all of that worth? How do you put a number on that? Once you start to look at it, being able to attract and retain the right people, especially in the middle of talent wars. So much turnover like today. Honestly, and I'm not exaggerating, it's worth billions, if not trillions, to companies around the globe. And to attract today's younger generations, they don't want to be told what to do anymore. More and more, they want to be coached. They want to coach to come up with their own solutions to challenges. Everyone loves to solve their own challenges. And so coaching allows them to develop themselves while adding value to the organization and growing. And that's how people choose to stay. So getting clear on the benefits of coaching really helps drive change in an organization. Because we will make change as humans. We will make change when we realize that the benefits of coaching are greater than what we're currently achieving. So you have to have that desired end state. You have to have a vision in mind. What does success look like? Yeah. And then to instill a coaching culture, it's got to come from the most senior leaders. So it's funny, I've been called a few times, but I'll just give you one example. I had a company, a publicly listed company. The CEO called me and said, look, I've got an issue with my team. They need fixing. But so I go in and I do some analytics and diagnostics, and I realize the truth is that the CEO is the problem. But she didn't want to improve and change, but she wanted her team to. And it was years and years ago, and I still refer to this because I've never done it since. But she arranged for coaching for her top 4 leaders. Not for herself. Well, the changes desired never happened. Those 4 individuals did much better. But from that, it didn't happen because the CEO didn't make the change. And you're never going to instill a coaching culture or coaching understanding unless the highest level leaders are impacting, because when that happens, it just trickles down and trickles down. And so from that moment on, Drudy, I always insisted that the most senior leader be coached too. Just yesterday, I got another call from a group, a big corporation, said, hey, we need you to coach all the leadership team. And I said, only if the CEO is going to do it too. There's actually Center for Creative Leadership came out with an interesting study a while back, and they said that the number one challenge in creating corporate coaching culture was senior leadership doesn't walk the talk. It's really true. And then I think you have to also be really clear about what culture really means. People talk about coaching culture. What does that really mean? And I like to think of coaching or culture as kind of the feel of the place, right? I always use the analogy of like let's say you're making a big old pot of vegetable soup, right? And you've got the vegetables and things floating around inside of it. The broth is the culture. It's the culture. It's what's holding everything together. And it's a feel of the place. And it's how we act, it's how we react, it's how we look, it's how we sound. But more importantly, it's how we think.
Mm-hmm.
And so getting people to understand what culture really means is key too.
Oh.
And then one more I'll just share, which is you got to really look at the ratio. I like to look at ratios. I'm a big fan of ratios. And I always ask my coaching clients about some key ratios. But one of them is, how much time are you spending on building the business, driving your market share, getting greater profits, greater revenues, whatever, versus building the people? It really is that simple. Business and people. That's our mission. As leaders, there's only two things we need to focus on: building the business, building the people. That's it. So when you can bring it down to that and really look and say, where is my ratio today? Is it 90-10, business, and people over here when I have time?
Yeah.
Right. And most people that I ask that when I first start working with them, they'll end up saying it's somewhere between 80, 85, 90% business.
Oh gosh.
When that shifts, that's when the magic takes place and the business actually grows tremendously.
18 years of coaching, and now suddenly, I don't even think we are ready for something like this because we've still not understood the benefits of coaching. And then comes AI coaching. So I really wonder, what kind of shift are we looking at now?
Well, so what you basically highlighted, and I appreciate the way you did this, was there's only really two, this is my belief, I wrote a book on this, there's only two thought systems in the whole world. Let's just keep it simple. Fear-based thought systems.
Yep.
Scared, oh my gosh, what's going to happen, what happens, what if, right? And what I call the joy of possibility.
Yes.
Potentiality. And here's the thing. Change is not new to humans. There's going to be change. And change in professional services has been around for millennia. I'll give you an example. When cars first started being used over a century ago, 400,000 people were employed as horse poop scoopers. And they were replaced almost overnight. Okay, same thing with electric lights. When electric lights began to illuminate streets all those decades ago, hundreds of thousands of manual street lighters found themselves out of a job. Professional services are always being adjusted. That is the beauty of being human. We are malleable. We can adjust as long as we have the right mindset, and coaches are no exception. You can look at AI with fear. You can look at AI with, hey, how could this help? I'll give you an example. When I first heard of ChatGPT, I knew immediately, it hit me immediately, the first question that I wanted to ask. So I sat down at the computer, went to ChatGPT and OpenAI, and I asked, is artificial intelligence capable of original thought? Back very clearly, it is not capable of original thought in the same way that humans are. It does not possess subjective experiences. It doesn't have any emotions. It doesn't have consciousness. It doesn't even have self-awareness. It excels at understanding and generating human-like text based on training. That's all. But it does not have its own opinions. It does not have its beliefs. It does not have creativity. So the way I look at it, you can answer great questions, but it cannot come up with great questions. And because it has no empathy, it has no consciousness, I don't think it will replace coaches completely, certainly not anytime soon. Now, the good news for people in professional services and so forth, generative artificial intelligence can really make our work easier. Use it smartly. I think about coaching and any professional services people. I coach a lot of leaders of consulting firms as well. And I say, what are the things you hate to do the most? And it's always things like marketing, writing, demanding website. Guess what? You just found a full-time assistant who can do that for you.
Exactly. That is so true.
And what do we love to do as coaches? Coach. We're here to coach. And so what it allows us to do is we don't have to worry about the marketing or all that stuff. We can, we're not having to come up with the right words for our website. AI can do all of that. And so it really does allow coaches to spend more time doing what coaches do best, and that is coaching. And that allows us to come up with new ideas, new way of seeing things, new coaching methodologies. Because as of today, ChatGPT is only updated as of, I think, September of 2021. So it's already in the past, right? And with the world changing so quickly, it's already in the past. So the way I look at it, the future of coaching is in our hands. It is exciting. It is terrific. And when you look at it from that perspective of joy of possibility, the potentiality that it has. I just have nothing but excitement for the future and where we're heading.
Thank you so much for sharing that.